Rules to build credit and primary trade lines for 2024, 500,000 plus. All right, we'll go over some myths that are commonly talked about that aren't true, and the rules for building credit and the primaries, and how to build your file to get maximum funding. If you do this right, we can get you in the $1 million range on the corporate credit round one and then continue to go higher. So let's talk about the myths of building credit that don't work. Buying zombie debt or debt from debt collection when you pay for it, pennies on the dollar. You can supposedly buy it and change it to positive, which is impossible. That never happens. It can't happen. And that is a complete scam. So nobody can prove it different. It doesn't work. Save your money. Consumer credit counseling also. That just is another scam. They will starve out your credit card companies and it'll show up as settled for less on your credit report and still destroy it. Age versus size. On buying authorized users, they say age matters more than size, when reality is size is truly the most important thing, but minimum age would be 3 years. So some people recommend buying older stuff that's small, and that will not help you. So if you want to get the final details on what AUs to buy, give me a call and I will specifically guide you into what would fit your file, not necessarily just with the age and the size, but some other factors that will help us get the maximum funding ratio as well, that nobody even really talks about. CPNs, everybody's still pushing them. Well, if you're trying to get an apartment, you have a criminal history, sure, okay, fine. But as far as CPNs, they end up merging with Social Security number, so it really ruins your social. And if you buy a car with one, which you can, but the minute you lie about your income and other things, it becomes illegal and you end up getting in trouble, arrested, and or file segregation. So CPNs are trash. I wouldn't even waste my time with them. I mean, unless you just want to get an apartment or something like that, sure. Okay. Age primaries are sold, autos and mortgages, as I've talked about before. They don't post. They're scammers. I mean, it takes 1,000 to upload a site visit, and then the bureau is going to call all the people or a handful of people on the list, and it never falls through. Never goes through. So I wouldn't waste your time or money on that. And then some people are saying, go get a home equity line of credit or buy a house to build up your credit. Well, if you do a refinance or you buy a purchase on a house, there's no way to get any personal funding or any funding for, used to be 12 months, now it's 24 months later. So you'd have to strategize exactly when you want to buy a house around getting corporate credit and the real maximum amount of money you want. Okay, now let's get to the rules for building credit. Bigger is better, and the minimum accounts you have should be at least 4 or 5, and they all need to be over $5,000. You might have one at like $2,500, but anything less than $2,500 really needs to come off your file. And basically, if you have a file and you already have decent sized things on it, you should have nothing less than 5,000. But if it's a brand new file, yeah, you can have one at 2,500. That's it. Also, a lot of people say, hey, you can buy age trade lines and stuff and even out the DTI if you're maxed out on a credit card or something. Well, the balancing act on DTI is per item. It isn't overall. So if you have one card at 90% DTI ratio and you buy 5 AUs, it's still going to be the same and still going to not get you approved because it goes off of individual credit card items and things like that. It's not an overall combined added up balance. So don't fall for that, and don't buy AUs. Don't buy trade lines, authorized users if you don't need to. Try and get relatives, pay them if you have to, and do that. And if you are to buy AUs, give me a call first, because there's a lot of things that, besides the age and the size and all that, that also play into part as well, because type and other factors in it involved matter about how much the maximum funding comes out to be. So, type of credit card is important as well. If you're going to do an authorized user, sure, you can say you live at XYZ person's house, and if they get a card, it will go to their house and doesn't get sent out to whoever. and it will build up your file. So I think the limit per card may be like 5 or 6 authorized users per card. And yes, they do work. Try not to pay for them, because once they expire, it's going to say closed by guarantor, which kind of ruins your file as well. All right, let's talk about primaries. Primaries, and as we've talked about in the past, the best one is autos, motorcycles, or any installment loan of that nature. You can buy power sports, razors, and other things for like 40,000, that kind of stuff. As well as if you want to get a swap lease, swaplease.com, you can go find a car to rent. It's better to buy a car than lease, but if you are into that, I mean, you could technically buy a Ferrari or McLaren for 2,000, 2,500, maybe Lambo. Some Rolls Royces you could pick up on lease for like 4,500 to 5,000 a month. And normally, if you have a lease and you have a loyalty reward, sometimes you can get a $10,000 discount on your next lease. But leases are done on factoring and everything. I mean, it's pretty expensive and stuff. So the basic rule of thumb on getting a lease and what's reasonable amount of payment, if you don't know this, the finance system would be basically 1% of an MSRP per month. I mean, that's a normal, decent price. If you find a dealer, you want to set up something on a car and just offer it to them that way, that would be a normal, decent, fair value payment and value for having the car and using it and all that kind of stuff. Once you start paying more than that, you end up losing money. And also leases, you cannot go rent them on eToro and all these other things. That's illegal, and defaults to lease, and it ends up getting you into trouble. So a purchase is better overall, but that option is there at swaplease.com. Okay, so you want to learn how to get into buying autos at lower than average price and like double your money on them, or be able to drive in exotic cars and let them pay for themselves and break even or make a profit on. You can check out my auto hacking for every car and auto hacking for exotic cars. It comes free with commercial real estate, and you can find out more details on that. If you get in commercial real estate, or if you want to get it separately, I can include it with credit repair, funding, or other things like that. Okay, so now we're going to go into the main stable primaries that everybody's had for a while, that some of them are new to the list and some of them are off the list. So we'll go over what's current for 2024. Credit Strong Magnum for 30,000 or 20,000 is a great one. It's no credit check, and it'll build your credit. We have IntrigueFineJewelers.com, which is 10,000. They go off Experian. On a soft pull, you can buy the jewelry. You have to put down 30% to buy the jewelry with the debit card. You got 90 days to use the approval, and then it works on your credit and builds up your credit. There's another one, Electro Finance, similar to all the rest. It gives you a $5,000 limit. It can work on your personal business as a Credit Strong, but when you're building up corporate credit, it's kind of the same principle, not putting on crap that is recognizable and small and gonna ruin your corporation. So I would just stick with the personal for this, and then I'll go over the building the business credit later. We'll walk you through it after we got your personal funding. So those are your main primaries that you're going to look at and add to your file. And then you have the secondary primaries that are pretty strong as well, which is affirm.com, which will give you up to 17,500. It'll do a soft pull, but it reports only to Experian. Now, the next main one after that would be Care Credit, which will give you up to $20,000. They will do a credit pull, and you want to wait till your credit score is at least 680, so you do get the higher end at $10,000 to $20,000 range. So you're going to do that one last. So if you do the auto or 2 autos and 4 or 5 primaries, then your file is going to start being pretty strong. You want to add some utilities. You've got three to choose from. Experian Boost, which is Experian. That can add all your utilities, or you want to do an eCredible, which is TransUnion, and it will add all your utilities as well. And then the third one is stellarfi.com, which will add all your utilities and other miscellaneous bills, and they say they can go up to 25,000. So you set it on auto pay, it takes care of it and reports to your credit bureaus. Couple other items that you can use for primaries would be bank debit cards, which would be tomocredit.com, and you can go up to having a $10,000 limit reported, and they go off your checking account balance. Now, that brings me into another aspect of primary trade lines, which is secured credit cards. One Finance will allow you to put in a savings account up to $25,000 by direct deposit, or direct deposit from your checks, or if you want to put in straight cash, whatever, they go up higher than that, clear up to $250,000. But the point is, like all these online banks and savings companies that do not have a walk-in office or location, are very, very tricky. I mean, I've had people get large amounts of funding and decent amount of funding, and once you deposit large amounts, they start asking for a lot of invoices and paperwork and freeze your account until you can come up with the proper documents to verify it's not fraud. But their main objective in a lot of these cases is to basically make it look like fraud so they can get free money. So when you're doing any online banking at all, use it only for credit building purposes. If the only bank you have is online, you better get out of it and get a real major bank, Bank of America, etc., or a strong credit union. A large national brand bank is better than a credit union, because if you start getting into corporate credit, well, high-end corporate credit or commercial real estate or large funding like I do, and it goes into even a credit union, large amounts, they'll freeze your bank account as well and ask for a lot of invoices and documents, because they're not used to people getting big amounts of deposits like my clients get. So just take note that you're going to need a major, Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America if you're going into the commercial real estate route or the funding route or corporate credit route with me, because the normal online banks that are online only or the credit unions aren't used to these big transactions. So also know that it's safer and they won't freeze your money. Okay, so that's secured card number one, One Finance. And then we have some other secured cards like Navy Federal. They have an in rewards secured card, which can go up to whatever amount that'll report. And then you have a Navy Federal credit loan that will do as high as you want to go as well. It's a secured loan, but you get money paid back on the money you put in. And that money as well can go toward a car down payment. So you can really get two things out of one for that. So you do your loan, which is secured, and then apply it toward your down payment on a car. So that's really 2 for 1 if you can do Navy Federal. And then you have DCU, which is a $5,000 loan as well, and a secured Visa Platinum, which is unlimited too. Now, when you're going to all these credit unions and stuff, you're building a file, that's building your credit. I would suggest do not go straight to them the minute you think you're ready to go and go randomly trying to get approval with their products, because everything has a place and a time and an order and a sequence. And if you do it out of the order and out of the sequence and you go to them, even though you have a relationship with them, you go too soon and it's not ready for the file, you just got your maximum funding ratio knocked down to 20%, 50%, or 60% when you could have got 100%. And every time you do that, your file goes backwards. Because it's a trick. If you go 100% maximum funding ratio every single time, you'll be able to go up to each increment step into exponentially larger funding. That's what people don't get on the internet. Everybody talking on the internet that does Ebonics and they have their little bling and they're just one step above a drug dealer. They have no clue about funding and they just randomly spout off whatever they think for trade lines and stuff that aren't going to build your file. And they have no real target or goal in mind, and their files that they produce, and their clients have files that look like a shotgun hit them, and they're going like 50 different directions, and maximum funding is not one. All right, so we have some other secured credit cards. You have Wells Fargo secured card up to $10,000, Harley Davidson Visa secured up to $5,000, USAA Platinum American Express up to $5,000, Aero Mexico Visa card up to $5,000, Bank America secured card up to $4,900, Life Miles Visa secured card for $5,000, SkyPass Visa secured for $5,000. So wrapping up $5,000 in a secured card is okay. I mean, you might be better off spending it on car payments or possibly buying some AUs as well. But if you have the cash, it does build your file up, and it would help a lot. Now, let's talk about adding rental history. So now you want to talk about age primaries that actually work is, yes, adding rental history, which will go back 3 years. The rent reporting companies that do report to 3 bureaus are BoomPay, eSauceYourrent.com, and ClearNow.com. And the bureaus that only report to 2 bureaus, which is Real Karma, Rent Reporters, Credit Boost, Level Credit, and RockTheScore.com. So yeah, you could do 2 of the ones that report on 3 bureaus. All right. So you have plenty to choose from if you burnt one and you need to go to the other one. And they will call the prior landlord to see what's going on. Technically, yeah, some people say, oh, you could call some homeowner and say you rent a room, but a lot of times they only go with the legitimate apartment landowners, and they will do a good double check on these and make calls prior. So use that knowledge with however you want to use it. All right, now, a lot of companies that quit reporting completely, just so everybody knows. AG Jewelers, Crown Jewelers, New Coast Direct, Fine Jewelers, Seed 5, Borrow and Grow Plan, gone. GetThatJewelry.com, Shop Simplio Labs, and National Credit Direct. They all quit reporting completely. So forget those. And then a lot of people promote primaries all over the internet, and they say, oh, we got all these primaries, and they just say the dumbest thing that are super small, and that would be like Oxford Publishing. I don't even think it goes up to like 1,000. Lockbox Kickoff 750. Capital One like 200 to 500. I mean, Capital One secured card, you get up to 3,000, but I wouldn't do it because everybody that goes and gets Capital One for like $300 ruins your file. So I'd stay away from Capital One completely. Arrow credit card, $200. Cheese Max, like $1,600 limit. Kobo Credit Builder, crap, $1,200. Grow Credit, $150. Per Pay, $1,250. Credit AI, $1,500. DCU Quick Loan for $2,000. DCU Visa Platinum, $500. Discover It secured, $2,500. And Self Lender, $3,000. Like I said, you could do one $3,000 card or $2,500 card item one time if you're on a very brand new file, and that's like your only option, but ideally 5,000 and above. You've got Ava for $2,500, extra.com for $500, Grain for $1,000, and First Progress Select Secured MasterCard for $2,000. Yeah, ignore all that crap. And a lot of people also try and tell you to build your business credit with the standard, simple stuff. This is all basically retarded stuff that doesn't work. Uline, Wex, Amazon, and Brex. If you want to throw your corporation in the trash and listen to all these poor people that don't know what real money is, yeah, do it that way. And also they say, go get a virtual office or whatever, which doesn't work. And using your home address doesn't work. If you're going to build your corporate credit, you're going to get a retail front office and a real business and do real business. And I will set you up on a real path to make real money and get real funding. And I'm talking $1 million the first round on up exponentially. I know some other people out there saying, oh, you go apply for this credit card, business credit card, and all this stuff. I mean, and they say Corpay, MasterCard up to 500,000. But like I'm saying, all these other funding things on your personal file, even though you have a relationship with certain places, you're not going to go to them unless you know what you're doing. And I'm telling you, if you do the right path, you'll get the maximum funding ratio. But if you just put stuff together with all these people that don't have a clue and don't understand how things really fit together and what is required overall to make a maximum funding ratio to get a file that will produce millions of dollars, then you're just destroying your file. So if you go early to like a big approval place, you just blew your maximum funding ratio. Instead of like 50%, you blew it by like 90%, and that sets your file backwards. Once your file goes backwards, and if you listen to all these people, if you got like $2,500 credit cards, $500 credit cards, $1,000 credit cards, you have all that crap on your file, guess what? That stuff has to come off. And some files, that is a real pain, because you could have a perfect history of a bunch of $500, $1,500, $1,000, $2,000 junk on there, and it has to be removed, and you just set yourself back for a long haul. Not to mention, you have to remove the fraudulent and the extended fraudulent and all these things to get back on track, and then make the new payments on the new setup and the new loans. So I can put somebody in the fast forward and get them the maximum amount of money they want super fast if they do it the right way without making the mistakes. Now, when you want to come to me, I charge a retainer for funding, a small amount for a commitment fee, and it's basically 5% on the back end. That's it. Okay, so the next problem on business credit that is everybody touts out there is go get a merchant cash advance based off your business bank statements for the last 3 months. And those, like I've said before, goes off of factoring. So everybody will say, well, you get a 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 factoring ratio, and they'll sell it to you and it's normally a daily pay that comes out of your bank account Monday through Friday. Or if you're lucky, maybe it's a weekly pay, but the interest is charged $365 every day. So basically, a rule of thumb, if you want to look at what is the interest rate, 1.3, 1.4, whatever, the division and the calculation to come up with that, I could show you that. It's kind of a waste of time, and I'll just give you the quick, simple answer is that basically look at the last digit. The 0.3 is going to say it really ends up equaling 30%. 1.4 equals 40%. 1.5 equals 50%. Rather than I go into the whole ratio, but that's a simple, quick, easy way to know. But if you're paying that kind of money and you're going to pancake them one top of the other, they go into default very easily, because if you have a second one, it's automatically in default, and it's very easy to lose your money. But the people that are pressing that, they go to Fundbox or Uplift Capital or places like that. You can do that, get approved. Uplift Capital, you'll need to be in business for 6 months. Fundbox, you only need to be in business for 1 year. But once you do that and you have it on your file, your corporate credit, and you want to get into the real loans and lines of credit, then they're going to want to have that secured by a real estate or a office building. Because once you have that toxic bank loan on your file, it flags your corporation as being bad management, making bad decisions. So it's a high risk file. You put yourself in a BC credit category. Anyhow, so corporate credit's great. If you want to get the maximum money, let me know. I can get you onto that path. Some files can go right into corporate credit, but it's best if you have it set up properly to where it will get $1 million first round and then continue going. If it's not set up properly, then it's just going to go backwards. So if you're going to get credit cards, like people using CPNs or all these other things or whatever, guess and do their idea stuff, your file will constantly get smaller amounts and never progress higher. And a lot of people say, well, I'm going to go buy cars and all this stuff, put it on my corporation. Well, first thing is you want to go buy cars and put it on your personal And then when you want to get to the corporation, I'll show you how to get credit lines and loans and get the maximum amount if you want to hire me for the funding and get the most amount of funding. Now, I got the most amount of funding out of anybody in the whole internet, and nobody in all these years could even come close or even prove me wrong, and I could prove it to yourself and show you if you want to just call me and hire me. And if you want to start out with credit repair, we can start out with credit repair. Average time on a file that's not been destroyed by other companies or a person trying to hack through it on their own is 45 days. But if you've taken it around the block to other people, or you got balances over like 50, 60, $70,000, or you got like 20 some inquiries in the last month, it's gonna take longer, and I will work it till it is done and in funding. I won't give up and never disappear. Have been around for 20 some years, longer than anybody, and got the most money. But people that say blank statement like e-metro, e-oscar, and all this etc. They're not secrets. I'm just telling you the facts. Nobody can give a blanket statement, oh, your credit repair is done in 2 weeks and it's all over. No, every file is different. Yes, I want to get it done. You'll see results in a couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks, or sooner. But in order to say when it's done and ready for funding, yeah, that could be 45 days. If it's got all these other problems, it could be longer. What matters is you build the file right. We get the bad stuff taken off, and if you have a bunch of baby accounts, those got to come off too. So if you're a competitor, yeah, there's a free hint for you, because I know you guys don't know what you're doing. But if you really want to get into the real money, give me a call and we'll get everything set up and get you on the right path for funding and getting your business going on the side. Now, if you want to get into the super big money, you get into commercial real estate, and I will show you how to make big money in that. All right. Well, thanks for watching my video, and talk to you soon. My number is 312-473-4163. Thanks.